Hey, what up, world? We're going to cover up the NBA bubble awards. Pretty much the season of the bubble is pretty much done with. We do have the Portland Trail Blazers against the Memphis Grizzlies. They're going to go at it in the morning for tomorrow on Saturday. Actually, no, I think it's around noon or 3 p.m. Who knows? But I think the Portland Trail Blazers had the momentum, and Damian Lillard will be able to lead them into the playoffs to go against the Los Angeles Lakers. Then again, Portland, the last couple games against the Mavericks and the Nets, they won those games by pretty much a point or two for each of them. And some controversial calls. There's some missed plays. So Portland's very lucky to get into that position. And Damian Lillard's pretty much pulled up games, 61 points in the 40s, 50s. So kudos to him. Hopefully he can be able to get it done with one last game. I have trust in Damian Lillard. But pretty much right now, we're going to jump into Mr. Colin Cowherd and the Herd on FS1. He's going to hand out his predictions and let alone who he believes the award should go to for MVP, kind of going forth in the bubble. Same thing with me. I'm just going to go be able to take my take in here. But basically, number one, if he's going to say or not, the MVP of the bubble, you got to go with Damian Lillard. I mean, dude's been electric, amazing. The last 3 games, he's had over 150 points, propelling his team most likely into the playoffs. I think he'll be able to get it done with. Now, if the Blazers don't get into the playoffs, I would still give him the MVP. Alongside with him, I do have Devin Booker, number 2. Shout out and kudos to the Phoenix Suns. They went 8-0. Monty Williams did an amazing job with the crew. Devin Booker really stepped it up, and they went undefeated. And they didn't even get to get in the play-in, which is kind of a crazy concept. But he's at 2. Then you got to throw in T.J. Warren as well. Then there's some other players, but let's jump into here.
Yes. All right. Rookie of the bubble: Tyler Hero, John Morant, Michael Porter Jr., or Zion Williamson.
Yeah, so rookie of the bubble, I actually got Michael Porter Jr. Dude's been electric. He's been durable, which is the most amazing thing. He was killing it out there whenever he was going against the Los Angeles Lakers. I know they lost that game, but Michael Porter Jr., he's got a sweet game. He's 6'10" as a small forward on your team. He can be a point forward at times. Pretty much he just needs to play a season or 2, and he's healthy now, so he can get more minutes with Mike Malone on the Denver Nuggets. I know he's been coming off the bench. They would start him up a couple times, but dude's got a bright future ahead of him. He's around like 22 years of age, something like that. But Michael Porter Jr., being 6'10" as a small forward, he can probably, I'm not saying he'll get there with Jason Tatum, but definitely he can be in between Kyle Kuzma and Jason Tatum the next following season. But kudos to Michael Porter Jr. I actually got him as my rookie via bubble.
I'm going to go with a kid I've been waiting to watch play for 2 years, Michael Porter Jr. He was a great recruit, then had some injuries. We've all been waiting to see him. He's supposed to be a remarkable talent. Well, the kid can score. He's an absolutely natural scorer. 22 a game, led all rookies in the bubble scoring, and he's a really nice shooter. 42% shooter from three-point range, which is the modern NBA.
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. is killing it from three-point range, and which is an amazing complementary fit for the Denver Nuggets offensive style game, especially with Jokic back to the basket when he's on the free throw line, hands it off to Michael Porter Jr. coming off his screen or kicking to him in the corner. It's automatic for MJP.
Nuggets got a good one. Also, he had a game, first NBA rookie ever, league history, to have 30 points, 15 boards, and 5 three-pointers in the game, did against the Suns. So he's all that in a bag of chips, and Denver's got Jokic and Jamal Murray and a very good staff and a good scouting department, and now they've got their next star. So keep your eye on Denver for the next 4 and 5 years in this league.
Bright future.
Yeah.
The most disappointing team: 76ers, the Lakers, or the Pelicans.
Yeah, I actually got 3 other teams. Well, some are in there. Number 1, I got the New Orleans Pelicans. Everyone was talking about the play-in and with the bubble. Pretty much the opportunity for the Pelicans to sneak in. That's what everyone was talking about, that they can beat the Grizzlies. I knew they wouldn't make it into the playoff bubbles. I didn't think it would be this horrific. But, I mean, it is what it is. Dave Griffin, the general manager, and the team and the training staff, they only put Zion for 15 minutes. He couldn't close out games. If Zion were to be able to play 25 minutes at least, they would have won at least 2 to 3 more games when it came down to it. And they pretty much would have been into the playoff mix, let alone the play-in. But without Zion playing a couple of those times, the Pelicans are still a disappointment. When it came down to it, Lonzo Ball did pretty much horrific these 8 games. Before the bubble, Lonzo Ball was balling out. He was getting his groove. But that's the thing with Lonzo, very inconsistent. Yeah, but with the Pelicans, they just weren't there. It was a disappointment for them. We were all hyped up. Pretty much the media was hyped up to see if they can make the playoffs. Another team that was disappointing was the Milwaukee Bucks. They were 3-5 in the bubble. We were expecting, I still expect them to make the finals, no doubt about it. But pretty much when you're a contender and let alone a championship favorite to win the championship and you're 3-5, the team's been inconsistent. The defense hasn't been there. That's concerning. So pretty much right now, whoever comes out of the West, if it's the Lakers or Clippers, I got them ultimate favorites. I've had them before as ultimate favorites over the Bucks, but this just gives me more. I'm more comfortable with that decision as of right now. And then the third team, I got to go with the Memphis Grizzlies. They were 2-6 in the bubble, pretty much losing games they should have won, and to secure that 8 seed. But now they're in a hole to where they're going to probably lose to the Blazers in the play-in. So we'll see what happens. But those are the 3 teams for me. I won't throw Philly in there because I already knew Philly was a first-round exit before Ben Simmons got injured, let alone before they got into the bubble. So I'm not going to throw injury at them. And I already knew the Sixers' chemistry was off. The team never fit together. Elton Brand's got to make some moves. But I'm excited to see the Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid being the main player on the team. I know there's some rumors and escalations of what if it was Ben Simmons alone on that team or Joel Embiid. So now we can get a quick glimpse of a playoff series of how a team just surrounded by Joel Embiid can be able to go with. So I'm actually excited to see how that works out. But yeah.
This is hardly a shock. The most disappointing team in the bubble is going to officially be the Philadelphia 76ers. By the way, they were outscored by 21 points in the fourth quarter. You'd think with all this talent, you could excuse it if they were a little slow out of the gate. They're a bad fourth quarter team in the bubble. They had a losing record in the bubble. Ben Simmons is out indefinitely, and all we heard was, the chemistry. This time apart, the chemistry.
Real quickly, the Lakers are somewhat of a disappointment. I know with LeBron, he doesn't really look like himself. Very conservative, going around 15 to 20 points a game. Pretty much relying heavily on Anthony Davis. I'm keeping my eye on the Lakers. I still have them to win the championship, but it doesn't look so hot for them right now. Same thing with the Bucks. I think if you're a Clippers fan, I think the Clippers are the team right now that looks good. Pretty much perfect rolling into the playoffs and more comfortable. With the team identity, the role players, how people are playing. So if you're a Clippers fan, you should feel good right now. You should be number 1 on the top. The Lakers have some question marks. Same thing with the Bucks. But the Clippers look good.
Chemistry will be great, and it wasn't great. They still can't play together and blow this thing up. Let the 2 stars go their separate ways.
It's very difficult. The best play, Booker's game winner.
If you think about the last few months,
Yeah, I got to go with Booker's game winner out of every other ones right there. The Suns were 8-0. Booker's game winner was pretty much that momentum they needed, even though they didn't make the playoffs, but kudos to them. But there's some other good plays out there.
Doncic's leg pass, Kuzma's game winner, or the Lillard bounce 3.
I'm going to go the Suns' Devin Booker. Here it is.
Yep,
Very fun moment. Although that leg,
I agree.
There's a couple.
The most surprising team in the NBA was definitely the Phoenix Suns. No one expected them to go 8-0. I think best case scenario for most people would have said 3-5, maybe 4-4, but no, definitely not 8-0. Shout out to Monty Williams. He's my coach of the bubble.
Of them here, but we don't talk about them a lot. So let's give it to the Suns, who were 7-0 in the bubble. This has been not always the best for an organization, but you got to give it. You know what? They could have mailed it in. They could have mailed it in. 7-0, best.
Yeah, they really could have given up and just gone with the flow, kind of like some of the other teams in there, like the Pelicans. But they pretty much went haywire, and they did their thing. And that's a great momentum for them going to next season. Next season, I'm not going to say they're going to make the playoffs. I think they'll probably get around 35 to 42 wins in that range. The team's got a good direction. Devin Booker, he's feeling good about himself. If you're management, you feel good that Devin Booker's winning some games and he's on the high note and he's going to win. He's going to be with his boy DeAndre Ayton, who's going to be able to excel. So the Suns are in a great direction. I think Monty Williams is going to get the coach of the bubble. They got a great squad with them, so I'm excited for Phoenix. They got to make some more moves. They need to bring a small forward that can be able to score the ball to finish that kind of core three with their young talent.
Carmelo Anthony, Skinny Mello.
So we got the most surprising player. You definitely got to go with T.J. Warren. With T.J. Warren, he's always been a great sixth man off the bench for a team. He's a small forward. He can be able to score. We've always known that. I mean, especially if you're playing in 2K as well. But I guess when he got the dreads, he was on his Kawhi Leonard flow because he was going off 40-point games, 30-point games. Kudos to T.J. Warren. I think this is a great direction for the Pacers. They need a small forward or a star player on their team. I'm not saying T.J. Warren can get to that point. I think his peak is pretty much an all-star player, but T.J. Warren's been going off. That's going to be a great first-round series with the Pacers and the Heat. That may go 7. But with Carmelo Anthony, they moved into the small forward slot. He's lost 20 pounds. He's got another 2 seasons in the NBA. Michael Porter Jr. has been, he's been pretty shocking. He's one of the most improved players out there. I'm excited for his future, but that just shows he's durable. He had 5 months off, and this is what we expected him to be.
Michael Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., or T.J. Warren?
I didn't know much about T.J. Warren. I think it's T.J. Warren. He played at NC State. I don't even remember him in college. And he was like a crazy scoring machine. 3 consecutive games with 30-plus points.
Man, imagine if the Phoenix Suns had T.J. Warren right now. We're going to kick it off here.
The Celtics Backups today.
Yeah, there's a couple more awards right here, but we'll kind of end it off on the MVP as Damian Lillard, as I said, pretty much in the very beginning as to be. Let's see, rookie of the bubble, I got Michael Porter Jr. Comeback player, you got to go with Nurkic on the Portland Trail Blazers. Sixth man, Gary Trent Jr. Best play, we already got the game winner with Devin Booker. Then coach of the year or coach of the bubble, Monty Williams. Those are my awards altogether.